Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Dave Ross. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. 419-794-3030, online, arhq.com. Don't forget, previous editions of the show available for you to check out on demand. Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you consume your media. Just search for America's Retirement Headquarters, all there for you to check out at your leisure. The Fed cut interest rates a half point at its September meeting, which is a big reason why mortgage rates have gone from a 20-year high of 8% down to the 6% rate. Those rate cuts could create more home buyers. So what are some of the reasons that people might want to consider selling their home at retirement time?
Well, I just wrote another interesting article for the Toledo Free Press talking a little bit about the changes in interest rates. And if you want to get that, you can go to ToledoFreePress.com and click on the article that I put together talking a little bit about this. But when you look at it, there, I think, could be multiple reasons on why somebody would want to sell their home at retirement time. I have some clients that we've worked with for a long time, and their home, like many homes, really kind of appreciated a lot in price here recently. They wanted to be able to tap some of the home equity that they have to kind of fund their retirement goals. They wanted a little bit more income, and actually, some of the multiple desires that they had, like not having as big of a house that needed a lot of maintenance, made a lot of sense. So number one, looking at home equity to fund retirement. Downsizing, when you look at downsizing, the advantages that could be in that situation would be, one, looking at like reducing some of the expenses that you have. Property taxes. I don't know if you've got your letter yet, if you guys have, but I just got my letter from the Lucas County auditor, and my tax assessed value went up by over 30%, meaning that my tax rates, if I do nothing, are expected to go up by over 30%. And it's, a retiree, if you're on more of a fixed income budget, those type of expenses can be a real big challenge. As a side note, if you go onto the Lucas County auditor's website, you can file online to have your property value challenged and have the potential to have that reduced. But in addition to that, when you have a bigger property, you ultimately end up having more expenses with utilities and maintenance. I know a good example of that is Scott, who many of you listen to here on the show. His mother recently sold the property that they had. They had a great property, big pond, nice barn, big house. But, mom had sold her property to move a little bit closer to her son. Now she lives within walking distance of his house, and she has one of the newer condos. So not only was she able to reduce some of those expenses, the maintenance, utilities, she also has the advantages of a lifestyle change, being closer to family. There's a lot of value to that. Even with their big property, I know one of the challenges that they had was just the physical upkeep. When you think about, a big property and what it takes to maintain your landscape, your yard, some of the advantages of these maintenance-free living facilities, like what we have at Waterside or other communities, was even advantageous to my mom when she lived there. Just has to worry about the inside, not have to worry about the outside is really advantageous. We talked about lifestyle changes in one of our earlier segments, people who want the freedom to travel. Maybe they want to move to more of a tax-friendly state. They could look at selling their home, finding a place in a more tax-favorable state to do that as well. There can be some advantages from a Medicaid protection scenario. Years ago, I had met with a couple, and the husband was going to go into a nursing home facility, and under Medicaid, they had a large amount of their investment assets that could have been subject to a Medicaid spin down. They, like many of our listeners, had lived in the same house for 35 or 40 years. The house in the neighborhood that they lived in had changed a lot. I think about the first house that I bought in Toledo. It was over on Hoyles Avenue. Loved the neighborhood, loved it as a first house, but that neighborhood has changed a little bit nowadays. The same was true with the neighborhood that she lived in. Has kind of deteriorated. Not only is her property probably after 30 or 40 years going to need more work to it, she's able to take and use some of the money that they had saved up and be able to go purchase a new house and have something that is not going to have to worry about maintenance, gets her in an area that she wants to live in, and gives her peace of mind, and even probably more so her husband a peace of mind to know that they're set up for a long time, probably in a situation of having a home that's going to be good for the rest of their lifetime. And from a Medicaid perspective, a husband and wife are able to have one house, so moving that money from what could be a countable category to a home, an uncountable category, could be another advantageous thing to do in a married situation. And why you should think about it now is home prices are really strong. And I look at the value of my house that I have. My wife and I have been in our house for 18 years now. And just even in the last couple of years, looking at what some of the values are going for is very advantageous on when to look to sell your home. That's part of, I think, some of the things that we do. If you're thinking about your home, you're thinking about what do I do? I think that's one of the other advantages of the team approach. And when we talk about a team, I think about the strong team of professionals that we have right here at America's Retirement Headquarters, but it also is regarding the team that we have here in the community. In that Toledo Free Press article that I wrote, I had an opportunity to review John Mangus from Remax Preferred and get his outlook in the real estate market. I had an opportunity to talk with Liz Terwilliger, and as a mortgage broker, get her opinion about mortgage interest rates and, when do you look at getting a mortgage interest rate? When do you look at refinancing? So that's just, again, one more advantage of working with us and our team is we can kind of help bring in these other professionals to help coordinate that situation. A lot of times people say, Nolan, well, if I sell my house, I'm going to have to go out and just buy something and it's going to cost me the same or more than what I have now. And if those are the type of issues that you're thinking about, that you're trying to work through, that, like any situation, is why having a good plan and having a good team in place will help you figure out if you should sell your home at retirement.
If you're mortgage free and then you retire and then you're going to sell your house and buy a new place, I know a lot of people that would like to say, gee, I want to remain mortgage free. And the other thing I would say about home values, with retired people, there's a lot of folks that can buy a substantial piece of real estate for cash. So it's not all real estate transactions are happening where there's mortgages and interest rates and all of those things. But I'll tell you one thing real fast. When I first married my wife, there was an old fellow across the street, and he was probably in his 80s, and he would have to cut his own yard. I went over and helped him a couple times. He would place yard chairs throughout his front yard, and he'd take a couple swipes, and then he'd sit down and rest up, take another couple swipes, and then have to do it again. And I'm telling you, that poor guy should have never been cutting his own grass. And there's something to be said for not having to take care of the exterior property of your home when you're up in age.
Whether it is in retirement or, at any point in life, the purchase of a home, the selling of a home, it's a pretty big deal. And it is something that, if it's something that you're considering when it comes to your retirement, it's worth making sure the numbers align, make sure those T's are crossed, those I's are dotted. The team at America's Retirement Headquarters, they can help you with that as it pertains to your retirement without jeopardizing the quality of your retirement, hopefully. But it all begins with reaching out to them. You can find out more about the people that work there, as well as a retirement team action plan at arhq.com. Or you can give a call right now, 419-794-3030.